Hello, Ryan Fritz here with Science and Cardio, talking to you about the 4 phases of a muscle contraction. So there are basically different ways to train your body. Some people at the gym, most people do the kind of concentric emphasis or phase, but there are 4 different possible scenarios of exercises or ways to challenge your muscle and tendon tissues that can be helpful and also maybe push you through a plateau. So first one is beginning range of motion isometric. Okay, so that is maybe a push-up. I'll use push-up as an example. That is starting up high, okay, and loading or getting force onto your joint or your muscles, okay? The beginning range of motion isometric is the start or the beginning, and its focus or emphasis is on stability. Concentric or the shortening is when you're pushing and the muscle is overlapping or shortening, okay? So that is the contraction phase, and it's the gas and the go kind of part of the muscle movement. The next one's end range of motion isometric. So the end range might be you're in a push-up and you're doing that transition from shortening to lengthening. So you're changing direction, and that requires a lot of joint stability. So that's a good thing to challenge. And again, a lot of people don't challenge the beginning range or the end range isometric or stability phases. And then our last one is eccentric, also known as the lengthening phase. So in a push-up, it's when you're kind of in that top position and your muscles kind of lengthening or getting longer. This is also known as plyometric training or negatives. So you might see people doing a bench press where they're lowering the bench press down, or you can do a push-up where you're lowering your body down. So this is really demanding, really challenging on the nervous system and the muscle tissue. It is the breaking or the stopping of muscles. A plyo might be the push up and you do that real fast and then you come down, and it's that stopping mechanism or the breaking that requires more nervous system than all the other phases. So kind of intensity wise, these 3 phases, the isometric phases and the shortening or concentric contraction phase, are all submaximal up to 100%. So 1 to 100%. So we can only go to kind of what our limits are with the muscle contractions. The eccentric phase, or this kind of plyometric negative phase, we can load up more than what you can do. So again, when you're doing that plyo push-up, your body's trying to stop its weight. That's more than your body weight because it's trying to stop it. So again, it requires a lot of nervous system. You'll see maybe people doing overtraining or super maximal training where they're doing 120, 130, 140% of their 1 rep max. And they're basically trying to fight it as it's coming down on a bench press. And then they have somebody help them up. And then they're fighting and you're doing a couple sets of that. Again, a really good way to break out of a plateau. And that really helps with overloading or over kind of stimulating your nervous system and your body. So that's a great way to get stronger and to be able to apply more force. So again, example, beginning range isometric for a push-up would be either down on the ground at this position, or it might be in this position. Just kind of the start point. Again, we need some stability to apply force to get things to move. And then the push-up example for concentric is basically the push part, or the kind of the movement up. And that's the shortening or the contracting of the muscles, the fibers are overlapping. End range, again, you might be end range here, or you might be end range here. There requires a lot of stability in the joint. Nervous system has to do a lot. So these are some phases that you should be training at different levels. And then lastly, A good way to do this kind of eccentric training for push-up might be a clap push-up, where you're clapping and then you're stopping. Another way you could do a bench press or push-up is to start at the extended position and lower that down slowly. Ideally, you would try to challenge 100 or up to 140% effort. So hopefully this is food for thought and this gets you thinking, but we should be training isometrically. We should be training that contraction phase. We should be training the elongation, the stopping or the braking phase. And again, with these isometrics, you can train it all the way, doing an iso at end range, doing an iso at beginning range, mid range. There's kind of no limit to that. So give that a shot, throw that into your routine, and ask me questions if you want more information on the phases of a muscle contraction.